I have been a game developer for the past 4 years and had the chance of working at Voodoo, one of the biggest game development companies, and I tested 3 successful prototypes with them. But the journey hasn't been easy. Today I will be presenting 5 advices I wish I had heard before as a game developer. Now let's start. 1. Less tutorials and more practice alone. Even though tutorials are an amazing tool to get used to using different game development softwares, different game engines, and they are able to teach us how to create a complete game in a couple of minutes, it isn't something that we should be focusing on doing in the long term. Tutorials are meant to give us just the basics of game development. Basically, we learn with them how to create a different type of games, but we shouldn't really stick to them for a pretty long time. The thing with tutorials is that of course they provide a step-by-step that you can easily follow along, so that's also something that it is quite rewarding at the end, because in a matter of hours you have a playable game. But well, if you start creating your own games, you will easily, and I would say instantly, realize that creating a game alone is completely different from following a step-by-step tutorial, because firstly, you don't have any step-by-step that you can follow, and 2, you will have to deal with a lot of errors. And errors literally are something that don't exist in tutorials, but do you know where errors exist? Exactly, when you start practicing alone. And when you create projects alone, you will actually create the games alone in most cases, because you can't really stick to tutorials all your life. Sometimes you will have to be completely alone coding. So my advice here is, even though tutorials are an amazing tool to learn game development, try to depend the less that you can on them, and on the other hand, start practicing more yourself on your own, because when you practice on your own, you will actually be able to deal with the real problems that you may face as a game developer, basically fixing errors. You will have to overcome not knowing what to work next. You will also have to ideate your own game idea, and a lot of other things that tutorials just give to you in a kind of step-by-step, follow-along friendly guide. 3. Quantity matters more than quality. When we are game developers, sometimes we tend to overcomplicate ourselves in terms of the games that we want to create. We sometimes want to create more complex game with a better visual style that we can do. And this basically leads to us spending endless weeks and months even in creating our game. However, when we are just starting out in game development, or even when we are intermediate game developers, and we are basically looking forward to building our portfolio and to building our profile, what you have to focus more is on quantity. Because basically, the more projects that you create, the more different mechanics you will learn how to create. For example, if for example in a period of 3 months you have only created one game that is a complete open world 3D game, okay, yes, of course you have learned a lot of things, but it would be much better if in 3 months you have been able to code something like 5 completely different games, some of them 2D, some of them 3D, and from complete different genres. Of course, as you are creating games in different dimensions and in different genres, you have learned a lot more other things than just sticking to the same project for a lot of months. So my advice here is that you leave quality for when you actually start publishing your games, selling them to either some store pages, basically you publish them on your own, or for when you start selling them for some clients. But when you are just trying to build your profile, when you are just trying to learn, it is much better to just focus on quantity than in just creating 1 or 2 projects in a super long period of months, because you will be quite limited. 3. Create a YouTube channel, and probably this is the point in which you are going to be more surprised about. Basically, creating a YouTube channel, I would say that it has literally endless advantages for game developers. The first thing, and I would say that most important, is the fact that it will help you stand out from the crowd in the super crowded market of game developers. How many game developers you know that actually lead a successful YouTube channel? And when I say a successful YouTube channel, basically a channel that has like something like more than 3,000 of subscribers and uploads videos on a weekly basis, okay? So basically, when you do have a YouTube channel, you're able to stand out from the crowd because there aren't a lot of creators, a lot of game developers that are actually content creators as well. And this is something that, as will help you differentiate a lot from the audience, you will be able to become a better fit for some specific positions. Because when becoming a YouTuber, there are a lot of things that also comes with that. For example, you will improve massively your communicational skills while you are in interviews, while you are in meetings, etc. because you are used to speaking in front of the camera or by just using any kind of microphone. You are also going to be used to video editing, thumbnails creation, etc. So those are other skills that are quite important nowadays and can help you differentiate yourself from the competition. And also, having a YouTube channel will help you show off a lot, because even there may be some company, some recruiter just watching a random YouTube video and found you and found that what you say is quite coherent and that you have a pretty good profile, because also in YouTube you have descriptions. So in the descriptions you are able to showcase the different games that you created, and maybe that recruiter, that person thinks that you are a good fit and just messages you, okay? So that's also a way of building your network and even being able to apply for some jobs that you have never before thought about. And finally, also, when you create a YouTube channel and you start to talk about the things that you are learning, for example in game development, you start posting about the progress that you're having in the games that you're creating, or you even start teaching here in YouTube by some tutorial course, etc. You're also learning as well. 4. Invest more in equipment. As game developers, we are always in our rooms, spending much of our time just sat down in our own chairs. So for example, something that you should definitely consider buying is a comfortable chair in which you can be there for long hours without your back hurting. It doesn't really have to be some kind of gaming chair that it is super overrated, okay? It can be just a normal office chair that you may find in any kind of office. They are usually cheaper than gaming chairs and usually are even more efficient than gaming chairs to help you have a good posture. So definitely take a look at them. And the second equipment that you should really be taking consideration after is having a good keyboard, okay? So we spend endless hours coding there, typing in our keyboard, so it is super important to have a keyboard that helps us write better code and faster, and also of course a keyboard that all of the letters, all of the symbols work perfectly fine. So as you are probably going to be developing games for a while, I really do recommend you to do a big and good invest here in your keyboard. I'm not telling you to buy the most expensive keyboard in all the marketplace. I'm just telling you buy a good enough keyboard that actually your budget allows you to have a good keyboard, okay? The best keyboard that your budget allows you. And trust me, it's going to be a game changer. I used to have a super cheap keyboard, ones that you may find at school or at university, and then I switched completely to a far much more expensive keyboard, and well, it was a life changer for me. 5. Start applying for jobs earlier. Sometimes we tend to think that we have to have hundreds of games published, that we have to have like a super advanced knowledge to start applying for jobs. And well, of course, we do have to have interesting skills and projects to show off, but it isn't something like we should stick to only creating projects and improving our skills on our own for a super long time. But on the other hand, as while we learn our own things, as we create our own projects, at the same time we should be applying for some jobs. Applying for jobs isn't something that actually will take all your time, so you are going to be able to both learn game development, continue your projects while applying, okay? Because for example, maybe you just go during the week and in the weekend you apply, for example, because also it isn't something that will take a lot of time. And to apply in game development, it is super easy. There are a bunch of platforms to apply to. I will tell you that the main one is just called LinkedIn, okay? Probably you already know LinkedIn. But well, actually it does have a job section on the top of the page, and well, there you can start browsing the different jobs opportunities, okay? And the good thing about that is that nowadays the market of video games, it is so big that even beginners have a wide market, okay? Of course, it is going to be easier to find a job if you are an intermediate or advanced developer, but it doesn't really mean that if you are a beginner with some months of experience, that you already know a lot of things about game development and that you have already published a lot of games. It doesn't really mean that you have to get some kind of super long degree in some university or something like that. You're gonna start applying much before than that, okay? So really take it in count and start browsing the different job opportunities. So these were the 5 advices I wish I had heard before when I was a younger game developer. Hopefully they will help you a lot as they did with me. So start applying them right now, and trust me, you will realize in the short term the differences, okay? So I hope we can see each other on the following video. Remember to like and subscribe for the channel, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.